Some people say, "I'm just being honest," right after saying something nobody asked for.
Some people say something uncomfortable, then quickly add, "I'm just being honest." Like honesty is a shield. Suddenly, the rude comment becomes a virtue. The criticism becomes wisdom. But honesty isn't always what's happening. Sometimes it's just opinion, delivered with confidence. Because real honesty doesn't usually arrive with a smirk. It doesn't need an excuse. Yet somehow, the phrase shows up right after the damage is done. And the conversation changes instantly. Like the problem isn't what was said, but how you reacted to it.
You've probably heard it before. Someone says something unnecessary, maybe about your haircut, your work, your decision. Then comes the classic line, "I'm just being honest." As if honesty automatically makes everything acceptable. But honesty without empathy isn't honesty. It's just commentary. And somehow the phrase always appears right after something that didn't need to be said at all. Almost like a verbal seatbelt, protecting the speaker, not the listener.
The interesting part isn't honesty itself. Honesty can be valuable, but the phrase rarely appears during kind moments. No one says, "You did a great job, I'm just being honest." It usually follows something critical, something sharp, something that lands harder than necessary. And when the reaction comes, the responsibility shifts. Now the issue isn't the comment, it's that you can't handle honesty. And suddenly, the speaker becomes the reasonable one. Here's the strange thing. Real honesty usually doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need a disclaimer. It just exists inside respectful conversation. But when someone says, "I'm just being honest," what they often mean is, "I said something harsh and I don't want to take responsibility for it." Because honesty and kindness can exist together. But the phrase rarely arrives with kindness, and that's why people notice it so quickly. So, the next time you hear the phrase, "I'm just being honest," pause for a second. Not because honesty is bad, but because honesty doesn't usually need a warning label. Sometimes honesty helps people grow, but sometimes it's just criticism wearing a polite costume. And the difference is easy to notice, because one builds trust, the other simply ends conversations faster than expected. And maybe that's why the phrase feels so familiar, because everyone has heard it, and almost everyone has used it at least once. So the real question isn't honesty, it's intention, because honesty can build connection, or quietly damage it. Depends on how it's used. If you've ever heard this phrase in a strange moment, you're definitely not alone. And if you recognize more phrases like this, you might want to stay around. Who approved this?